And then tomorrow, when I get back to the library, I'll upload it to our YouTube channel. And I won't do this for tomorrow because it's the alphabet. But once we do vocabulary, where we're doing things like occupations or places, numbers, I'll do timestamps so that you can skip to sections. I'll also send out a PDF of the vocabulary sheet once we actually start doing vocabulary. And you can kind of use that to quiz yourself. Look down the list, do I know this phrase or word? And then if you're looking at that and thinking you are kind of lost, there'll be a timestamp so you can skip right to that section in the video. You don't have to watch the whole thing again unless you just love it that much. We would be thrilled for you to watch it all over again. Let's see. I think that's it. I have plans to send out a quiz each week and be very brief, and it'll be one that I'll record at the library and then send to Gillian and say, double check me. She'll check to make sure that I've done it correctly. And then I'll send it to y'all and I'll send the answer so you can check after you go through the quiz. But my goal to do it once a week so that you have something you kind of work through. We do have all of the old classes. Any old quizzes we did, anything extra that we shared is all on the YouTube channel, which you can get to through the library's website. And I'll send y'all a link when I send the email out tomorrow that kind of explains how to get there and how to navigate the ASL YouTube playlist. So I think that's it for me, and I will hand it over to Gillian.
Alrighty, so hi guys. So like Katie said, my name is Gillian. I know she sent out that email. I'm gonna kind of explain my history again, and then we'll get started. I like to warn everybody at the start of the class, at the very first class, I will be signing during our class. And the reason for that is because I work at the Alabama School for the Deaf that's in Talladega. And so all day, every day I'm signing. And one of the things it's really fortunate, it helps, is while I can sign easily, I can't let go of it. I keep signing. I've done it all the time. I mean, I used to do it when I was learning ASL, is I would actually come home and I'd be with my parents talking with them and I'd be signing at the same time. And so I do that a lot. I apologize. I know it can be distracting in the beginning, but some people actually look at it and they're like, okay, wait, you said this with start, that must mean start. And people will pick up on it, and and it's funny to me because I don't even realize when I do it. And then they'll be like, oh wait, I know that word. And they'll say start. And I'm like, how'd you know that? That's not even a word we've learned yet. And they're like, I've seen you do it. I'm like, oh, okay. So that's one thing. I also mentioned earlier, but some of you are still joining us. I do have 2 dogs, and one of them is a black lab. So he's got a very deep, loud bark. I try to keep them in other places so they don't bark right up next to me, but sometimes it does happen. I just like to let everybody know because I don't want anyone to be like, I don't know what that was and get startled. So they're very active dogs and they like to bark at everything. So that's what I like to say. Like I said, so I learned ASL myself in high school. I started it my junior year. I took 2 years of it in high school, and then I decided to go to Montevallo to get my degree in education for the deaf and hard of hearing. And so that was about, I'm trying to think of how many years ago that was now. I would say about 7 years ago is when I started college. So about 9 years ago is when I first started learning ASL. And I loved it. I still love it. And one of the big things that we will be doing during this class, as well as not only learning ASL, we will also be learning about deaf culture. And the reason for that is because ASL and deaf culture are connected. You can't really teach one and not the other. So I will add little tidbits throughout the class, oh, fun fact about this, and here's this, and why that. And so it's really fun, but I won't lie, I can keep going. I love talking about it. And so if you're like, okay, I'm kind of over this, just smile and nod. I promise we'll get through it faster. If you guys have any questions, feel free to type in the chat box. They can be direct messages, whichever, it's totally fine. And we will try to get to the questions as best as we can. Let's see, what else is there? If you have any questions that you think of after the meeting or the class, and you're like, oh, I forgot to ask that, you can hold it till next Tuesday's class, or you can email Katie and she will let me know. And if it's something that's like, I kind of really need to know, we'll try to get you an answer, or we can save it for the next class. So, okay, let's get started. We're going to start with the ABCs first. So I'm going to actually pin myself, so I might look bigger to everybody because we have a big class. Let me see if I can do this. There we go. Okay, can everyone see me bigger now? Whoop, don't you dare. Sorry, my cat, she's trying to join. Let's see. All right. Can y'all see me big on your screens? Okay, I wanted to check. I made mine small so I can see everybody, but I want to make sure y'all can still see me. So the first letter we're going to do is we're going to do the A, is A. So A is going to be, you're going to have your fingers just kind of resting with your thumb on the side. Then we have B. So B is going to be, you have that 4 fingers together and the thumb in front. B. C, super easy. C, is that C shape? Yep. Then we have D. D is going to be, you're making a circle with your other 3 fingers and your pointer fingers up. Good. Okay, then we have E. E is going to be, you're going to have your thumb come and your fingers are not full. You're not doing this. You're resting them. They're like close, but they're not touching. Does that make sense? I know some of these hand shapes, it's like, that feels so weird. It happens once you practice more, it gets more comfortable. I will say, just if you can, try not to go so big, because the ongoing joke is that's like a screaming E. And I used to get in trouble in my ASL, my high school ASL class, because I would do this and my teacher would go, why are you screaming E's at me? It's E. So if you can kind of get closer, that's okay. All right. And the next letter is F. So F is going to be, you're going to make, it's almost like you're doing the okay sign. Yeah. F. Okay. So now we're going to go back A through F, and then we'll keep going. Okay. So we have A. Then we have B. B. Then we have C. D. So this one, D and F get everybody. So do not feel bad if you immediately go for F. It happens every class. It happens in my classes when I was learning it. It's just one of those ones that just, it gets you. So
this is actually the first ASL class that I have not made an F instead of a D.
Oh my gosh, I totally overlooked that. She does it every time. I have to, I
Every
look at her
time.
pointedly like, Miss Katie, you've taken this class more than anybody and you still keep putting an F over here. So it's totally natural. It happens all the time. So we have our D, then we have our E, E, and then our F, F. Okay, so now we're going to move on to our G. So G is going to be like we're doing the little like pinchy, like little tiny, and then you move it forward. Yeah, G. And I do the weirdest descriptions on things. I'm trying to be as visual for you guys as I can. So if you understand it, you can just totally tune me out when I'm like doing that. It's, some people are like, okay, wait, where's your hand place? And then some are like, oh, I get it. It's this. So, all right. Then we have our H. Yep. Like you got, Joseph. 2 fingers, H. Good job. Then we have our I, which is our pinky. And then we have our J, which is J. Yep, J. So this one's actually, the thing that's interesting with J is that when I was learning it, it was very important that right-handed people go outward, left-handed people go inward. But I was talking with some more of my coworkers who are also deaf, and they were saying, it's not really that big of a deal if you go inward, your J's. But I was so shocked because I had just been drilled with me, no, your J's go this, everyone's must go out. And so it's okay if you go out or in. That one's okay. Then we have K. So K is kind of a weird, well, you've already got it. Okay, Rose, I saw that. But so K is going to be, you're going to make a V. Your middle finger is going to go a little forward and your thumb goes between them. Okay. Good. Then we have L. Sorry, when you go so slow, I lose where I am in my letters. And we have our L, which we know is L. Exactly. Then we have our M. So M is going to be 3 fingers over your thumb. And you want to, if you can, try to just for the time making sure your thumb sticks out. Just it doesn't have to be full on sticking out, but just a little bit. So we have our M. And then after N, we'll stop and go back. And then N is going to be 2 fingers over your thumb. Okay, good. So we stopped at F, so now we're at G. All right, so let's go all the way back to our G. So we have G, and then we have H, then I, J, K, L, M, and N. Good job, nice. If you see me making a face in the corner, it's my cat. She keeps wanting to get on my screen. So sorry. All right, our next letter is going to be O. So that one symbol is O. And then we have P. So P is going to be like our K, but instead of it sticking up, we're now putting it down. And this is one of those where I will try to explain. I'll do this for you guys to show you that I'm actually making that movement. Really, it's more relaxed and you don't have to move your whole shoulder with it. But sometimes I put it on a little more dramatic motion just to help you guys see it better. So you want to make sure you feel resting and comfortable. Yeah, P. Then our Q is going to do that little pinching again. And you're going to go down with that one, Q. And then we have R, which is like crossing your fingers, R. Then S is going to be your fingers, but now your thumb is over them. And then we have T. T is going to be 1 finger over your thumb. And then U, V, and then W. And then our X is like a pirate. And then Y. It's like you're doing the like, keep cool, like, surfers will do that motion. Yeah. And then the last one, Z, is you're going to make the motion for a Z. 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 Okay. So now we'll go back. We stopped at N, so we're at O. We'll go back to O, go through those. And then what we'll do is we will start with, I'm going to spell very slowly a few words just to give you guys kind of a chance to see how they go together. And you guys can answer them through the chat. Like I'm going to quiz y'all a little bit. You can type them out, or you can just, if you want to, if you don't, you're like, I'm not sure, that's okay too. Don't feel pressured to have to answer. So let's go back to our O. So we had O, then P, it's that K but down. Then our Q. Then we have R. And then S. Then T. Then U. V. W. X. Y. And then Z. Okay. All right. So how are y'all feeling on the alphabet? Are y'all feeling good? Feel like, I think I got this. I know this. I mean, you can do, it takes time. I understand. And we will try to we'll have probably a lot of quizzes if we can on finger spelling. And the reason for that is because finger spelling is very important with signing, because that's how you sign your name. That's how you, if you don't know a word, for example, if you forgot the sign for like apple and you're like, what's the sign for this? You can actually finger spell those words out. And if you're talking to a deaf person, most of the time, and I say this because I cannot say always, but most of the time they're not going to judge you and they're going to tell you what the sign is. That's why I actually love ASL like more than like another like language. Like I'm totally biased, but like, because with Spanish, if you don't know the word for something, you're like, you have to kind of think of another Spanish word to describe it and it gets complicated. But in ASL, you literally can be like, what's the sign for apple? and they'll tell you, oh, apple. So it's really helpful if you know the ABCs. That's really a great start just to learning ASL itself. So, okay, I'll do about 4 words, just kind of start basic. And then we will move on to some short like sentences that you guys can sign. Mainly it's more just like very simple, like my name is, are you deaf? Those sort of things. So our first word, are y'all ready? Okay. Okay, if you know it, you can type it. If not, that's totally fine. All right, let's do it again. And if you don't know, it's okay. Promise you it's okay. Because I mean, y'all just saw them like a minute ago. So, did you say, oh my goodness, Joseph said it also in Spanish, gato. So the word was cat, C-A-T. Okay. Then our number 2, ready? All right, this one might be a little tricky, but let's see, okay? Okay. All right, I'm gonna spell it, I'm gonna sign it again. All right, okay. Good job, you guys. So, okay, this one was box, B-O-X, but I'm honestly really impressed because people get thrown by that X so many times. That's why I was like, this one might be challenging. Like, and you guys, like, I don't normally do this on the first class because I don't want to overwhelm people, but I was like, you guys seem to really like be picking up these like letters. Like some of you, I know I've seen them before. So I wanted to like make sure we can just go ahead and get y'all challenged. So, all right, number 3, ready? Okay. No, you're not ready? Oh, come on, it'll be easy. I promise. It's only going to be 3-letter words. I'm not going to go big until maybe next class. We'll start doing some big words. All right, ready? Okay. Right. All right, I'll spell it again. Okay. Let's see if anyone else. Okay. So this one was car, C-A-R. Good job, you guys. I'm actually like, I'm real impressed. This is cool. Okay. I gotta think of a slightly, I promise it won't be more than 3 letters, but I'm thinking of another word that'll be a good one. Okay. I think I have one. So let's see. And this one will get you. Might get you, and it's okay. All right. So number 4. All right. I'm gonna spell it again. I'm looking at my little chat box to see. All right. So this one was bed. And I wanted to give you either a D or the F to kind of challenge, but I was like, I can't do fox because I did box and we did car and I was like, we have to do some different letters. So, okay, awesome. All right. So now what I'm going to do is we are going to sign, we're going to learn how to sign my name is. And so the cool thing with ASL that I really love is it's not really, and I always try to make sure I word it right, is you don't have to sign every single word in a sentence. So for example, when you're saying my name is, you really only sign my name and then you fingerspell your name. That is actually more like implied with the signs. It's not necessarily taken out, it's just used differently. So for example, if you're saying my name is, you would go my, excuse me, had the hiccups, my, and then you go name. So name is like having 2 H's, and you're going to tap one on top, name. So my name, and then you will finger spell your name. So for example, I'd go my name, Gillian. So yes, some people's names are shorter, and then some people's names are longer. And it's always funny because you see the ones who are like, oh, I have a really long name, I gotta really practice this. But I recommend, if you guys can, like, that's a good practice, is finger spelling your name. That's one of those important first steps. So when you're talking to a deaf person, if they're like, what's your name? They'll go your name. You can go my name, whichever. Okay. So let's see. We have how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Would you guys want to be interested in practicing finger spelling your names? And that way I can see them and make sure. Typically we do this with a smaller class, but I want to make sure. I was like, okay, how many people do we have? I don't want to make it too long, but I wanted to make sure everyone gets that chance. So what we'll do is I will kind of go in the order of the boxes on my screen, and I'll let you know. And if you don't want to, you can just be like, oh, that's fine, I don't need, that's okay. If you do want to practice spelling your name and signing my name, you can go ahead. So the first person on my screen is Rose. So do you want?
Sure, yeah. So I'm not a complete beginner at signing. We sign at home. But my name is Rose, like the flower. Rose.
Nice. Okay, so that's why you were such a champ at just getting better. I see your signs a little bit ahead, and I was like, okay, this girl's either taking a class or knows these letters. So good job. All right, awesome. Okay, the next one I have is Greg. So yes. So G, and you want to make sure when you put your hand, so I can see it. So you got your G, R, E, G. Perfect. Yes. Sorry, I couldn't see it below, and I was like, I think you got it right. All right, awesome. Okay, the next one I have is Ken. I just finger spelled it for you. So go ahead. Perfect. Yes. Okay. Then the next one I have is Kimberly. I have a lot of K's in this group. Okay, you've had to either have some experience with ASL. I could see that smoothness. I could just see it. I'm looking like, you know.
You're taking some beginning classes and trying to sign at home a little. So no.
Oh no, that's I'm sorry. I get so giddy when I see this, especially with people who have kids too, because I promise you, they're like, it's such a great thing to do, to like give to your students. Sorry, I'll say students when I mean kids. Because it also really helps with communication with kids, especially when they're younger, is that they have some baby signs. They can help them with really improving communication. So I always get really excited when I see families are like, actually, we are using sign at home. And I'm like, yes, but I am totally biased. I know I am. I love ASL. So awesome. All right. The next one I have is Kindle. Awesome. Awesome. Great. Okay, perfect. All right. The next one I have, so the title is Baby Girl, but I think your name is probably something else. So so Mick. Okay, perfect. All right. I wanted to check. All right. Awesome. Okay. Then we have Emma. That's okay. Yes, I see one-handed, so you're good. No worries. Perfect. Awesome. Yes, so Emma. Awesome. Okay. The next one we have is Joseph. All right. We can go spell your name. You said now. Do it right. You want a name now? Like, do you mean like a name sign? You're such a silly one. Perfect. Awesome. Okay. Then our next one is, so we you have your screen closed, which is okay. That's totally fine. If you don't want to sign, that's fine. We'll go ahead. It was C. Ann Holman Smith. So, all right. So now we're gonna move on to, let's see. Sorry, I have my list on my phone. I always put it right next to me. That's why I'm looking. I'm trying to make sure we go to the right spot so I don't miss anything. So the next thing we're gonna learn is how you can ask someone if they are deaf. And the way you do that really is it's crazy it is, you just point and go, you deaf. So the sign for deaf is going to be your pointer finger. You start at the corner of your mouth and you go to your ear. Now, some people do go ear to mouth. Either way, it's not really rigid on being like, no, it can only be this way. So if you go, you deaf, and that's how you ask, are you deaf? One thing I'll add, and I try not to go too deep into it because we're going to learn about it later, but I'm going to kind of just mention it here now, is eyebrows are actually a really important thing when asking and answering questions in ASL. So when you're asking someone if they are deaf, I think I did my eyebrows down. You do them up. Sometimes when I do it slow and I'm teaching it, I get kind of focused. So my eyebrows just naturally go down being focused. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. No, you need to actually be right. So when you ask someone if they're deaf, you would go, you deaf, with your eyebrows up. Deaf, you deaf. And the reason for that is eyebrows up means it's a yes or no question. Eyebrows down usually means if it's a who, what, when, where, why, or how. So that's a little tidbit. We'll learn much more about that later. Try not to go into it now. All right. So the next one is the sign for the word sign itself. So the word for sign, there are technically two ways you can say it. One is sign, 2 fingers, then sign. Another one is sign. Sign. And you kind of have your hands kind of up, and it's that motion of like, you're using your hands. This one's kind of more like I would say not a starter one. It's used more with people who are learning ASL. And this one you kind of would be more for like asking, what's the sign? So what's the sign for apple, and then this one's sign is like talking about more like that conversation, if that makes sense. So, but either way, no one's going to look at you and go, I don't know what you just said. If you do sign or sign, they'll both be accepted. So, all right. The next one we have is, is saying you are learning to sign. So what you can do, try to think of how the best way to teach this without going too crazy. So I'm going to teach you how to say, I'm learning sign. And what you do is you go me, so you point to yourself, and then the sign for learn is you're going to have your non-dominant hand palm up. Your dominant hand's going to be on top of it, almost like a jellyfish. And you're going to go to your forehead, learn, learn. And so this is basically the meaning kind of from it, at least if I've been told properly by all my coworkers and teachers that I've had, is that it's like having a textbook and a book and getting the information and going to your head. So like how you learn things is like it's going to your brain. So learn. So you say, I learn sign, or I'm learning sign. And that's how you would tell. So if you were talking to a deaf person, you were saying, I know sign, or I'm learning sign. That's what you would say. All right. So we have one more question word, and then we have just a list of a few kind of those basic starter words that are kind of, I guess, they're really the ones you would want for if you're just like in a situation, you're like, okay, I can help somehow. So the first one is, can I help you? So what you can do for that is you would go me, and then the sign for help is a thumb on, it's like a thumbs up on top of your hand. And the way you do this is you will actually, to show like a directional thing, is you're going to put your hand out towards them. So me, help you, like I help you, help you. And that's something we will go into much more later, is we will learn how with signs, some of them can be kind of directional and they go to specific places. So if you're asking to help, it'd be like, again, with those eyebrows up, because it's a yes or no question, help you, you can go me help you, or just help. Okay. The next one we have is please. And then, well, actually, no, before we start that, let's go back over our sentences. I know I've been throwing a lot at you. So we'll go back to the start of the sentence with a my name is, and we'll go through there, and then we'll go through the new words. So do we feel good about my name is? Do we think we can do it without me signing it? Or do you guys want me to sign it with y'all still? You think you can yourselves? Okay, all right, so I'm not gonna sign it. I'm gonna try not to. I might sign it below. I want you guys to sign my name is. Awesome. Okay, good. So my name is, and then whatever your name is. All right. Then our next one is, are you deaf? So you would go, you deaf. Deaf. Awesome. Okay. So then the next one we learned was the sign for sign. There are two of them. Sign or sign. Awesome. Good. I get giddy whenever I see everyone getting it. I'm like, oh, yay. So I will do that throughout the entire class. Our next one is, I am learning to sign. Okay. So y'all remember it's me, learn, sign. Or me, learn, sign. All right. And then our last one was, can I help you? Or can I guess, yeah. In English, sorry, sometimes my English and my ASL will blend and I have to kind of fix it, separate them again. But can I help you? Yes. So I help you, help. Good. All right. Awesome. Okay. So now our next word we have is please. So for please, you're going to have your hand open and you're going to have it and you're going to go in a circular motion. Please. All right. Then our next one is sorry. So sorry is going to do the same thing as please, but now with like a fist. So you're going to go sorry. And I will say one of the things, again, like I said, how eyebrows are important for asking and answering questions. Facial expressions are extremely important with helping communicate your thoughts and feelings. So for example, if you're saying sorry and you just go sorry like this with this face, it's going to come off like how we go, oh, sorry, like you don't really care. So if you really want to show like, I'm really sorry, you'd be like, I'm really sorry, like that face. You almost want to pretend like you're in a drama or in a play and you're like, I have to show you, I'm so sorry. That some people have a hard time with it. I apparently that was my natural thing. I am so dramatic. My facial expressions are everywhere that it worked out well. But some people are like, I don't really show much. I'm like, well, you're going to have to with this, or they're going to look at you and go, are you teasing me right now? Or are you actually like, sorry? So sorry. Then the next one we have is need. This is also the sign that you would use for like must, or should. And that is like you have your little X and you go need. Yeah. And it's like you're tapping it. Yep. Need. You kind of learn that as well with a lot of our classes, not classes, a lot of words you would use the same word, like the same sign for, which actually makes it easier for me, in my opinion, because, you know, you have 20,000 different words and it's like, okay, well, they all mean the same thing. So it's always a little helpful. The next one is tell. So the one for tell is, again, this is one of those direction ones. So if you're saying tell, like I'm looking at them and I'm like, I'm telling you this, you would go tell. You start with your pointer and your chin and go tell. If they are telling you something, you would be like, tell me. If you're saying tell them, whoever you're trying to say you want the person you're talking to tell, you go in that direction. So if you're saying, I want you to tell this person, you go tell them. If you're like, well, tell me. Does that make sense? Kind of follows where and who you're talking about. All right. The next one is ask. So ask has about 2 or 3 different ways to ask, to set the sign for ask. The first one we'll do is ask. So you kind of go your hands, and then it almost looks like you're doing like that prayer motion, but you're asking. Ask. Ask. The other one is actually like also what you would use for like question, and it's ask. It's like you're making a question mark with your finger, like your pointer finger. Ask, ask. So if you're like, hey, go ask her, ask. Do you need to ask me? Ask. Okay. I will go back. Let's kind of go back. I know we're chunking it up small, but I promise by the time we get to like the 5th or 6th class, it's going to be like these huge chunks of just words just thrown at you. So I'm trying to start slow. All right. So our first word we had was please. So we have please. And then we have sorry. Sorry. Then we have need. Need. Then say. Oh, no, we skipped one. Whoops. I said say. Say is this. Like said is like point. It's just pointing on your chin. And then we have our tell. Sorry, I totally missed the say. So our tell. Then we have our ask. Ask. So we have ask or ask. Ask. All righty. And then we might have skipped need. Sorry. Need. Or I might have quickly overlooked it because I was like, oh wait, I didn't do say. So, all righty. Now the next chunk of words are ones involving like saying slow, and then I think we forgot one and I'm going to add it is thank you. So thank you is going to be, you start with your hand and you want to make sure it's on your chin, just saying, and you go thank you. So that's thank you. And then our next one is please repeat. So we already know please. The sign for repeat, the sign for again is repeat. 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 Yep. And so this one can be really helpful if you're talking to a deaf person and you're not as used to having to receptive, like looking and like trying to understand what they're saying, because it takes a minute. I promise. You think you can practice in front of a mirror and be like, oh, I got this. And then you're talking to a deaf person, and you're like, what'd you just say? So this one will help with like, oh, can you repeat that again? And then the next one is slow. So you can go repeat slow. And so slow is slow. It's like you're kind of patting your hand and like going down slow. And most of the time, if you tell a deaf person, repeat slow, they should be having enough patience to slow down for you. Not all. There are all, there's one of everybody who is going to literally be like, I don't have time for this. And then someone will be like, okay, yeah, I can slow down. That's totally fine. So, all right. Then our next one we have, which we already did, was deaf. So we already know deaf from are you deaf? Deaf. The other one is hard of hearing. And so hard of hearing is H's and you go H. Yep, you bounce it. Hard of hearing. And then our last one is hearing. So hearing is hearing. Hearing. Yeah, it's like your pointer finger going in a circle in front of your mouth. And fun thing about this one too is this is also the sign for like if you're talking about a public school, it's technically like you use the sign hearing and then the sign for school, which when I first learned that, I giggled. I thought that was so funny because I'm going hearing school. And I'm like, well, when I went to hearing school and, we just don't call it hearing school. We call it public school. And it's just so funny. It makes me giggle when I think about it. So there's a lot of those just like signs that I'm like, I mean, it makes sense, but it also is just kind of funny in my opinion. So, all righty, let's go back through those. We stopped at, there we go. All right. So we had please repeat. So please repeat. And then we had slow. Then we had hard of hearing. So hard of hearing. And then our last one, hearing. So how are we feeling right now? Are we feeling good? Are we feeling like, okay, I know a few words that if I came across someone tomorrow, maybe I could be like a little, okay, comfortable saying something. Yes. There are a lot of words. I will warn you guys now, this is a very content heavy class. One of my kind of beliefs with this class is if I give you more of the science, since we also record these and you have access later, is you have that opportunity to review it and practice it again and again. You have them and you can save them and keep them. So it's not like, okay, we signed it, now I have to know everything. No, you have the opportunity to go in the class and see it again. And so I think, especially since we only have eight classes, and I try to give you guys as many of the words as possible. And that way you at least kind of almost have this library ready to go. I mean, library, we are a part of the library. So this library of the words ready for you guys when you really are like, okay, I've got these now. I want to go this one and practice some more. So we will get really into a lot of words, and I just bear with me. I think it helps in the end is you have this, again, this huge list of words, because once we hit like the ones like animals and jobs and those sort of things, they get a lot. There are a lot of words. So we'll kind of, for tonight, we'll stop so I don't keep just throwing more words at you. But I want to ask, is there any words you guys are curious about? Like you're like, what would be a word for this? Or like the kind of words, like for example, if you're asking more like words involving like school, which I can easily give because I sign them all day, every day, or words that are more related with like medicine, or words that are related with those different kinds of things. If there's something kind of specific, you're like, I think it would really help in this situation, you can type them in the box or you can save them later, whichever. Like medical, because medical signs, there's a good amount of them, but there's also a lot that are very just a lot of finger spelling. That's like the only downside, especially the more sciencey. I love when I say words like that, but more sciencey you get, the more it comes down to finger spelling. So, but if there's any, okay, so I see medical, flute, the flute. The flute, which is, I think it's the flute. There we go. I was doing the trumpet. We were finishing up our Black History Month project today, and we did Louis Armstrong, and I kept doing this, and like, so that's why I did that instead of this, but flute. So let's see. I'm trying to think if there's any other types of signs that we could do, because we're gonna hit animals, numbers, time. Next week's class, excuse me, is going to be, which one's this one? Okay. Next week's class is going to be the alphabet review. So we are going to review it. And then we're going to start with our time, our numbers, and our days of the week. Especially our numbers. That's going to be like our first one we'll kind of get into, is our different numbers. Because I'll tell you this, and I'm not going to sign it because I don't want to show y'all now. But cool thing is that you can go all the way up to 999 on one hand. You don't need both for up to 999. I don't know. I personally think that's like the coolest thing. My ASL teacher taught us with that too. And I was like, no, you can't. You can only go to 5. That's it. But no, you can actually go to 999 on one hand. It's only to 1,000. You need both. So we will start with that next week. Let's see. I think that's about it. Miss Katie, do you have anything else you think we should add?
No, not that I can think of. I'll upload this, like I said earlier, and since we do have some phrases, you'll see some timestamps that you can jump to, and then I'll send out a quiz. So look for a quiz later in the week.
Oh, I do know. If you aren't able to join a class, that is totally fine. We really try to emphasize, like, this is a class where I don't want you to feel like pressured and stressed of I have to be there every time. It's okay. We video the classes so you have access to them later. If you
Also,
just
if you have to, I'm sorry, Gillian, I just want to say, if you have to join late, that's not an issue. Like, just don't stress about it.
Or leave early, that's okay too. We've had tons of people who are like, I can stay until this time and then I have to go. And that's totally fine. I'm not judgy like that. I get it. Life is busy. Things happen. And so you really, don't feel bad if you're like, I can't join at this time or I can't. That's okay. If you aren't able to join in, like if you could just email Katie to let us know, so we're kind of already ready for that, that's perfect. Just so we know, okay, we are not going to have as many people today or tonight or etc. Also, every spring break, so because I know, Katie, we were going to talk about this. So my spring break is March 21st. Yes, that Tuesday. I am flying out of town. So if that's okay with y'all, what we can do is I kind of leave it up to you guys to make the decision, whatever y'all prefer, is we could have just cancel class as a whole. We have some videos that we can send out, like we could send out the colors video, Katie, to them so they have access to that. Or what you guys could do is you guys could maybe, if Miss Katie's okay with it, is still have class and y'all can have that almost like as a practice time and review time. And there's like this cool video. Oh no, you're good. Sorry, I was reading the email. I mean the chat. Oh no, you were totally fine. So, but yes, for that class, I totally lost my train of thought. Sorry, I will do that. I have teacher brain.
Here,
Okay.
why don't I do this? Why don't I send out a poll? If everybody, like, I'm totally fine leading the class. I don't think I can get us in too much trouble. So included in the email will be a poll, and you can just tell us whether you plan to be here that 21st. My kid's spring break is the next week, but I'll be here and Gillian will be here. So the other thing I wanted to mention, especially since we're talking about spring breaks and coming in and out of class, if you get a lesson or two into this series and realize this is not going to work, I don't have the time for it, just send me an email. You are more than welcome to sign up for any future class. We have plenty of people that once they've taken the class, will sign up and just drop in or email me and ask me for the video, and I don't mind doing that at all. So don't feel like if you can't finish this class out that, you know, like, you can always email us and come back later. It's not a big deal. So
yes, we're very, very flexible. We totally get it. So I want you guys to feel comfortable and feel like, okay, this is, and last thing I'll add is also whatever questions you guys have, if they're related to deaf culture or if they're related to just ASL itself, please feel free to ask. Like, this space, I always say, is a safe space to ask questions. And I promise, even if you're like, would this offend them? I can tell you, or, you know, I can, and if I don't actually know the answer, because, you know, since I have not been born and raised with ASL, there are still things that I will not always know completely myself. And, but I have coworkers who are deaf, that I work with very close. I have, one of them is like my teacher bestie, and she knows I teach this class. So I'll come in and go, hey, one of my students from my night class asked me this. And I was like, I've never actually had to sign this word before, or I've never actually seen what the sign is. And I'll ask her. And they're always very happy to help with that. So I say that to add that if you do ask me the sign for a word and I'm like, you know, I actually don't know, that can happen. I mean, it doesn't happen too often. It's usually very rare. Like, I'm trying to even think of the last one. I think one was armadillo. Someone asked me for about an armadillo, and I was like, you know, never had to sign that word before. So stuff like that, you know, it's just very random, which you're fine. You can ask me. That's totally cool. But don't be always like, what? She doesn't know. I mean, that's kind of ideally the best time to learn ASL is through a deaf person. So that's what I always say is, you know, it helps. The other thing I was going to say is, questions. Like, I promise, no question is going to be, I'm not going to judge you for a question you have. I'm not going to be like, oh, I cannot believe you just asked that. No. So you really are welcome to ask any questions you have. And if you're like, I don't want to say this in front of everybody, you can send it through a direct message on the chat or to Katie, and we will help as best we can. So, all right. So I guess we'll finish early tonight. Normally we don't. So get ready for that. I hope you guys have an awesome rest of y'all's week, and I will see you guys next Tuesday. Bye, guys.